Okay, so for turn two, Okay, so first off, I did look in the rule book about the event, and the event does take precedence over the rules, meaning, even though it's a monsoon, if this says we can sweep and then do an assault, then it is possible. So it trumps this monsoon. So this is actually a good event. You know, US Arvin free sweeps one non-jungle space with US and Arvin troops. They free assault as US. So, that being said, I am going to take that event, and I know it's going to open up for the next faction to potentially do a special activity and a full operation, but this one is just a little too good. And plus, for me, I'm not too worried about the NVA too much right now. Arvin is dealing with it up here, so I'm not too worried about it at this present time. However, so free sweep, we'll get back to that. So free sweep in one non-jungle space. So if we look at this chart here, it will tell us what kind of, or what it looks like, what the kind of the spaces look like. And so none of these jungle spaces. So I have the perfect spot, which is here, Bin Din. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a good spot to kind of remove everything or all the VC in here. How do we do it? So here is the sweep. So move any troops. Well, we can skip all that. Activate one guerrilla per US troop or irregular there. Or if it's in the jungle, only one VC guerrilla, or not VC guerrilla, only one guerrilla for every 2 troop or irregular there. So because it's not in the jungle, it is basically a 1-for-1. So we have 5 US pieces in here, so potentially it could reveal 5 guerrillas. But in this case, it's only going to reveal these 2, or activate these 2. So basically that means we all know where they're at in here. So now we've done the sweep. And it also says they free assault as the US. So an assault here, how do we do that? Well, in each space, remove 1 active enemy piece. NVA troops, then guerrillas, then bases, then tunnel. If it was a tunneled base on a die roll of 4 to 6, it could be removed. But that's the the hierarchy of the list. So you remove troops first, then you can remove guerrillas, and then if everybody else is left, or if the base is the last thing left, then you can remove the base. So how do we remove? 1 active enemy piece for each US troops cube, 2 for 1 if a base, or only 1 for every 2 if Highland without a US base. So in other words, if it was in a Highland like it is in here, we can only remove 1 guerrilla for every 2 cubes of troops. All right, and it has to be troops. So this irregular, the special forces, which is these guys. So special forces have their own little rule set, so we're just talking about cubes. So if it was a Highland and it did not have a base, then it would be 2 for 1. But because there is a base, it is a 1 for 1. So what does that mean? It means that because there are 4 troops, we can remove these 3 guerrillas. All right, so they've been removed. So that's only using 3, but then the base is the last thing left. And we have another troop that can assault the base, which means we get to remove the base as well because it's the very last thing in here. All right. So go ahead and flip those over because that's the way I like it. Remove the base, and because a base is a point for the VC, they lose a point. All right. Pretty easy. So that was the event. So removed all the VC in here, and now we can start building a good reputation with the population in this province. All right. So so that's done. So that's how that's all done. So free assault, free sweep. No resources used from Arvin. Didn't even need Arvin's help really to do that. But if you do use Arvin, if you're playing as the US faction, if you use the Arvin, then you use Arvin resources. Otherwise, the US has no resources, doesn't need to spend on resources. Okay, so that's easy. So that was that. So what does the NVA do? So let's go to the NVA sheet. So we'll set that aside and open this up. And here's NVA. All right, so their first thing is, can an ambush or troop attack, can it remove a base or at least one d6 roll of enemies? So in this case, we have NVAs, this is the only spot. So they can't ambush, sure. So now we have to roll a d6. Can they remove at least that many? So we're gonna use the red die. Right, so 6. Can they remove 6 enemies? Answer to that question, can they remove at least 6? No. No, they cannot. Because that's the only place where there's even where it's contested. So the answer to that question is no. So because it's a no, do they do the event? Do they pass? So in that case, well, they don't have 0 resources, so they don't pass. I know I'm skipping all the way ahead, but there's no capability because it's a coup card next. Again, no capability, and I played the event, so they can't play the event. So that's nothing. So if none, can the NVA terror 1d6 population at support? Well, again, if we look at the map, there's no support here. There's only opposition, no support, no support. They're in no spaces that have any support. So that means no, they can't. So I'm not even going to roll a die. So because that's a no, is the trail less than 2, or is there an NVA base with less than 2 NVA units? So let's look. So the trail is at 2, where it starts. So you know that's not true. So they're not going to do that. Or is there a base that has less than 2 units? So that has 2 units with a base, 2 units with a base, multiple units for multiple bases, 2 units for a base, multiple units for a base, multiple units for a base. Meaning, no. So those statements are false. All right, so we go down to no. Are there more than 2 d6 guerrillas available, or would a rally place a base? Now there are some limitations. So the only space limitations are, for bases, you cannot exceed 2 bases, period. So as we can see here, even though technically they could place an NVA base because there's one available, but because there are already 2 bases on the space, they can't. So that's kind of like the space limitation. But more than 2d6 NVA available. Guerrillas, that is. So here are the guerrillas. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to roll 2d6. So 2d6 is 3. Okay, 3. So are there more than 3 guerrillas available in here? Yep, there are. So because that's a yes, we go back up here into Rally. And it's in 3 non-support spaces and 1 if there's a capability, but we don't need to worry about that. So play spaces where there are 4 plus non-base NVA/VC, including 2 plus guerrillas. So that, again, there are no spaces that would support that. Base limit, and these spaces, they don't meet the requirement. So we're at Rally. So that wouldn't work. So then we place guerrillas at coin control in Laos/Cambodia, which that's not a factor. At bases with less than 2 NVA units, which that's not a factor. At any NVA bases, which there are many where they could place guerrillas, and then in random spaces. So within those, we have to figure out where to put it, or place the guerrillas. So because there are many spaces that have a base. All right, so 33 is what we're looking for. So 33 is in way. So we go down to 36. Okay, nope. Follow the arrows. The fish hook. So is there anything in the fish hook? Yep. So they'll just place guerrillas in there. And so their placement is, for a rally, this is what it's meant to do at any provinces or cities without support, 1 resource per space. And then if they want to improve the Ho Chi Minh Trail, they can spend 2 more resources. So place 1 NVA guerrilla or replace 2 with a base. If it's a base, it may instead place NVA Guerillas up to the trail value plus NVA bases. So because this is the spot selected, the trail is 2, so they place 2 Guerillas because there's a base, 1 base. So that means 3 Guerillas will rally here. And we'll mark it so that we don't get confused which ones we've done. So then that's 1 resource. Oh, let me flip that over. There we go. That's 1 resource to spend on that one. And because it's up to 3 spaces, right? So for an Upterra Rally, up to 3 non-support spaces. So we go again. So they still have some Guerillas in place. So 22. Where is 22? It's somewhere down in here, I think. So that's 23, right? So there's 22. Boom, boom. Goes down here, goes into, what is that? Yep, not even going to pronounce that. So we're going to keep going on. Yeah, there, bang, bang, here, and then to the parrot's beak. So that's the next spot. So it's the same thing. Trail value is 2. It only has 1 base there. So 3 Guerillas rally there. Mark it. And cost them 1 resource to do so. Easy. Alright. Because they're out of Guerillas for rally, if so there is no more left. Improve the trail if the NVA's resources is greater than 8, or if the trail is less than 3 and the NVA resources is greater than 2. So is there resources greater than 8? Yep. It is at 13 and the trail is less than 3. So they're going to spend 2 resources to improve the trail by 1. Alright, so that's rally. So they did their special their operation. Now it comes to the special activity, which would be infiltrate. And then so if infiltrate will not add a base or will add 4+ troops, bombard now. So what does infiltrate, what do we do? So infiltrate is to take over the VC and upgrade NVA forces. And 1 or 2 spaces with the NVA base or NVA is greater than the VC. So if it's a base, place NVA troops up to the trail plus bases, and if desired, replace NVA Guerillas with troops. Alright, so really, so they can replace at least 4 troops here. You know, get rid of 4 Guerillas and then replace them with troops. That can be a thing there. So that would satisfy this infiltrate. That it'll add 4 troops. It may not add a base or 4 troops. So yeah, that's true. We can do infiltrate, or NVA can do infiltrate. So then replace VC bases where no NVA base. If there's no NVA base available, then remove one from North Vietnam / Laos, Cambodia, with most NVA. And they want to replace VC tunnels or at the highest population. So can they do that? No. So we can see that, you know, there's some VC here, VC Guerillas there, but because they don't outnumber NVA, there's some NVA Guerillas here, or an NVA Guerilla, but because they don't outnumber the VC, they can't take over anything, right? Because that's what infiltrate means, or for that place, or actually for the location to satisfy this condition. So, because that's not the case in those spaces down here, we don't even look at that. But really, we may be looking here to satisfy this condition. So because they can't do this, place troops at NVA bases where most NVA Guerillas, or where there are 2 NVA bases. So there is most NVA Guerillas, which there's only 1 Guerilla here, 1 Guerilla there, 1 Guerilla here, 5 Guerillas there, and then 4 Guerillas here. So because this one has more, they're actually going to replace those Guerillas there. So they're just going to replace 5 these Guerillas, put them back there into available, and grab 5 cubes. Boom. Yep, okay. Alright, so that's 1. So they have 1 more space that they can do that at, and the next space that fulfills that condition is, guess what? This one here. So we'll mark it, And then replace with troops. Okay. So because, let's see, replace guerrillas with troops until 2 NVA guerrillas left per space. Underground if able. Oh, whoops. Whoops, I knew I was doing something wrong. Here we go. And then at least 2 goes there. And the reason being is, I think it is to place a base, you need to have 2 guerrillas there. Let's see, where is Rally? Yeah, replace 2 guerrillas with a base. So they kind of want the option still to potentially place a base, but also augment their forces to have troops there. So it's still, technically, so that was still true because they could still place at least 4. So it's possible. There we go. Now that's the turn. That's NVA's turn. We'll go ahead and, put the little cylinder here to mark that, and then these guys go here, and nobody goes back into eligible because first coup comes into play. So then the next turn will be the coup round, which a lot of stuff happens. Mainly all this stuff will happen, and then we'll continue on with the next round. But that was turn 2.